top story. Yesterday it was Bolna Mana Hai, today it is Dharna Mana Hai. I'm talking about the parliament and the do's and don'ts. Now, demonstrations, dharnas, fast or religious ceremonies can no longer be held in the premises of Parliament House. That's what a new circular by the RajyaSabha Secretariat says. The circular on dharnas comes amid opposition outrage over what they call is a gag order on using certain words in Parliament. There's been a swift condemnation from the opposition over the new order. TMC MP Derek O'Brien tweeted saying that there is no stopping us. He called demonstrations, dharnas and strikes and fasts as part of legitimate parliamentary tactics to register protest.
लोकसभा में कोई सर्कुलर जारी नहीं किया गया। ये एक प्रक्रिया है और ये प्रक्रिया लंबे समय तक चल रही है और आप सबको जानकारी है कि 2009 से ये प्रक्रिया चल रही है। उसके पहले भी प्रक्रिया चल रही थी, उसके सबके सर्कुलर जारी कर दिए। मेरा सभी राजनीतिक दलों से पुनः आग्रह है कि लोकसभा में या राज्य की विधानसभाओं में बिना तथ्यों के किसी भी तरह की राजनीतिक आरोप प्रत्यारोप से हमें बचना चाहिए।
किंवा निदर्शन करण्याचा जो अधिकार आहे किंवा मौन धारण धरून यातना जाणून करायची ही जो अधिकार आहे त्याच्यावर ही बंदी आणली गेली आणि या गोष्टी सहन होणार नाही। हा निर्णय कुणाशी उचलून चर्चा केली।
आज एक नया जो पार्लियामेंट्री नोट है वो निकलकर सामने आया, जिसको जयराम रमेश ने सबसे पहले ट्वीट किया था और उन्होंने उसमें बताया कि अब संसद परिसर के अंदर भी आप प्रदर्शन धरना नहीं दे सकते हैं, सरकार के खिलाफ जो है वो आवाज नहीं उठा सकते हैं। कई बार ऐसे मौके होते हैं जब एडजर्नमेंट मोशन दिया जाता है संसद के अंदर, कई बार अलग अलग पार्टियां जो है वो गांधी प्रतिमा के बाहर अपना प्रदर्शन दर्ज कराते हैं। ये तमाम चीजें नहीं कर सकते हैं और ये कहीं ना कहीं लोकतंत्र को खत्म करने जैसा है। तमाम विपक्षी पार्टियों की तरफ से प्रतिक्रियाएं आई, कांग्रेस की तरफ से, टीएमसी की तरफ से नेताओं ने ट्वीट किया, आरजेडी के सांसद मनोज झा ने भी वीडियो जारी कर इस पर ऐतराज जताया। लेकिन जब ये मामला तूल पकड़ने लगा तो लोकसभा सचिवालय की तरफ से स्पष्टीकरण दिया गया ये कहकर कि ये एक नॉर्मल रूटीन की नोट है जो हर बार जब भी सत्र होता है उस समय नॉर्मल कोर्स में ये इस्तेमाल किया जाता है। और मीडिया में 2-3 और पत्र दिखाए गए। 2009 में जब संसद चल रहा था उस दौरान किस तरह की नोटिस, पार्लियामेंट्री नोटिस दिया गया, जो नोट है वो सामने रखा गया। 2022 में इससे पहले जो सत्र हुआ है 2020-2019 करीब 4 से 5 इस तरह के सर्कुलर जो है वो मीडिया में दिखाए गए कि ये एक नॉर्मल प्रैक्टिस की चीज है और विपक्षी पार्टियां इस मामले को तूल देने की कोशिश कर रही है।
The Parliament right behind me will be starting its monsoon session of the Parliament from Monday onwards, and it appears that the stage is set for a confrontation between the government and the opposition parties, who are all set to defy these new rules and diktats, where they feel whether it's a choice of unparliamentary words list or, for that matter, the new diktat that the dharnas and the protests which the oppositions have been holding for years on at the Gandhi statue inside the Parliament had almost become a norm for the opposition to do that before the House commences, or each time around they want to protest against a bill or an act that is being talked about inside the House. That may not be witnessed in the Parliament anymore if this rule has to be followed. What action will be taken against the errant MPs, that is yet to be decided, but the opposition has definitely decided that they will make one formal appeal to the chairman of the Rajya Sabha and to the speaker of the Lok Sabha that they should revisit these new rules, and it will only handicap the opposition and muzzle their voices of dissent within the House to register their protest if they want to take up any issue against the government.
All right, for more on this, I'm joined by Nyamika on the broadcast. Nyamika, the opposition has launched a massive attack on the centre because after yesterday that list of over 50 words that cannot be used in Parliament was released. Now, the rules say that you cannot protest. Remember, earlier in the past, Gandhi's Priti used to be that point where the opposition would launch its protest against the ruling government. What will they do now?
Well, the opposition party has made it very clear that they are not going to bow down before the BJP-ruled central government, even if they will pass any such order for the parliament session, which is going to commence from the 18th of July. And that has been made very clear by the opposition leaders, including the TMC MP Derek O'Brien, who has mentioned in his tweet that they are not going to bow down. The opposition leaders are going to continue to raise all the real issues of this country, and even if any kind of order is going to be passed by the RajyaSabha Secretariat, which is being stated that there will be no demonstration or dharna allowed within the parliament premises, they are continue to raise all these issues, which is basically their responsibility as an opposition leaders. And that is what the Congress Party's Rajya Sabha MP Jaya has also stated, that this is another salvo by the Prime Minister Narendra Modi. As earlier also there was a booklet which was being released by the Lok Sabha Secretariat calling as many words as unparliamentary, like the Jumla, TV, COVID spreader, Slougate, all these words that are being used by the opposition parties to attack the BJP-ruled central government, that all are being termed as unparliamentary. And that is the reason why opposition parties are being alleging continuously that it is basically an attempt to muzzle the voice of opposition and to suppress the real issues which the opposition parties raises during all these parliament sessions. So that is what they are trying to do by passing this order by the Rajya Sabha Secretariat, that all these dharnas or any bhook hartal or anything like that, hunger strike, are not going to be allowed, because opposition leaders continue to raise all these demands while holding any kind of demonstrations or hunger strike at the Gandhi statue. So they are not going to be allowed to do so in the upcoming parliament session.
All right, thank you, Nyamika, for those updates. So next Monday, the monsoon session of Parliament will begin. We'll have to wait and watch what the opposition would do, because there are over 50 words they cannot use and they will not be able to even protest. So interesting times ahead. Moving on to the second most important story of the day that we're tracking on Nation Tonight. 5 labourers, innocent labourers, have been killed and several others injured after a wall collapsed in an under-construction building in Delhi's Alipur. According to officials, 20 labourers were digging a foundation adjacent to the wall. It is said that the wall was approximately 100 feet long and 15 feet high, and it's likely that poor construction material was used. 14 people have been rescued and have been sent to hospital. The compound owner, meanwhile, is currently absconding.
कौन किसके साथ हादसा हुआ ये?
मेरे बेटा के संग।
अच्छा, ये कितने बजे का हादसा हुआ?
1 बजे 12:30 बजे की लगभग की टाइम की बात है।
आपको चेहरा दिखने दिया?
ना,
चेहरा नहीं दिखा?
नहीं दिखा ना, हमें कुछ ना दिखा हुआ।
सरकार से कुछ मदद अभी तक हुआ?
हमारी कुछ ना भाई है, हमें जैसे पता चली तैसे भाजता आए हैं।
All right, for more on this, I'm joined by my colleague Ishika, who's been tracking this case very closely. Ishika, we just heard the heartbreaking reactions of the family members of these labourers who've been killed in this wall collapse. We're talking about the national capital of this country. For the benefit of viewers, could you tell us what is the latest? How is the health condition of those who have been injured in this wall collapse?
Yes, definitely. You know, when the police received a call at 12:45, the rescue operations began, and 14 people were taken to the hospital, Raja Harish Chandra Hospital, out of which 5 were declared dead. Now, these dead bodies were, carried to another hospital in Puri for the postmortem. That is Baba Jagjeevan Hospital for the postmortem, and their families were present there. But those who were injured, they had come to the hospital, and right now their condition is much better. But out of those 14, 2 of them were like this, who were very critical. Now, right now there is no official declaration or announcement of any compensation by the government, be it the central government or the state government, to these people. And And right now, these people, we met the families of these people, and they were saying that we did not even get to look at their faces. So, Arvind Kejriwal, Delhi CM Arvind Kejriwal also tweeted about this and said, that he had been keeping a close eye on this rescue operation. But as of now, no compensation has been announced. And in fact, we got to know, we talked to the locals also, and the locals said they alleged that this construction was actually illegal, and in fact a complaint was also filed against this illegal construction. It was alleged that this construction was happening on an agricultural ground, and that's why it was illegal, but no action was taken by the police, and after which this incident, this mishap happened. Right now, in fact, the research is also going on as to what caused this incident, but it is being suspected that poor quality of material was the main reason that this collapse happened. We talked to the families, and they said that these laborers were actually working on this under construction go down for 1 month, and when this collapse happened, they were trying to run away, but sadly they couldn't, and they became a victim of this. And right now the police is trying to track the absconding owner of this plot, Shakti Singh, and the contractor, but they have been absconding the whole day, and the police has to will be updating us soon as to when will these people be arrested. But the bigger question today is that who is responsible for this big mishap that took away the lives of 5 people, and what kind of monetary compensation will actually be able to compensate the loss of human lives that was lost today. Over to you.
All right, thank you, Ishika, for those updates. Times Network's Akanksha spoke to the person who had complained against the construction of the illegal warehouse whose wall collapsed today, resulting in these deaths. He said that despite repeated complaints, no action was taken. Take a look.
जी मैंने कंप्लेंट फाइल की थी डीएम साहब को, एसडीएम साहब को, और कोई कार्रवाई नहीं हुई। मैंने तो लिखित में खसरा नंबर भी दिया था।
क्या कंप्लेंट थी आप?
कंप्लेंट थी एग्रीकल्चर लैंड में हरी भरी खेती को काट के, पेड़ पौधों को काट के, और ये एग्रीकल्चर लैंड पे गोदाम बनने लग रहे हैं।
जहाँ पे आज ये इंसिडेंट हुआ है, क्या उसी एरिया की आपने कंप्लेंट
की खसरा नंबर समेत कंप्लेंट दी थी जी मैंने, लेकिन कोई कार्रवाई नहीं हुई। एसडीएम साहब और डीएम साहब को भी कार्रवाई दी थी वो, लेकिन कोई कार्रवाई नहीं हुई। लेकिन जब अब मर गए आदमी, अब तो सब भागे भागे फिर रहे। कोई गरीब आदमी मर गया, मरे, चलो ठीक है भाई, लेकिन उस टाइम पे क्यों नहीं आया जब मैंने कंप्लेंट दी थी? 6 महीने से मैं कंप्लेंट देने लग रहा हूँ, लेकिन कोई कार्रवाई नहीं हो रही। लेकिन आज हादसा हो गया तो अब आ रहे सब, एसडीएम साहब भी आ रहे, डीएम साहब भी आ रहे हैं, कमिश्नर साहब भी आ रहे, सब आ रहे हैं। चलो बहुत अच्छी बात है, लेकिन मर गया, इनका जिम्मेवार कौन होगा? इनके परिवार को कौन खिलाएगा? उनके वे तो भूखे मर जाएंगे। कमाने वाला एक परिवार में कौन होता है? एक ही तो होता है ना।
लगता है इसमें भ्रष्टाचार,
टोटल ही भ्रष्टाचार है जी। ये तो दिख रहा है, मेरे मुंह से क्यों कहलवा रहे हो? टोटल ही भ्रष्टाचार है, इसमें तो दिख रहा है। ये तो सामने, जब कंप्लेंट देने के बावजूद भी कार्रवाई नहीं हो रही तो ये क्या दिख रहा है? ये तो है, हो ही रहा। फिर
जो आपने कंप्लेंट कराई थी उस पे आप और एक्शन अभी मांगेंगे?
हाँ जी बिल्कुल बिल्कुल, उन पे होना चाहिए एक्शन, क्योंकि ये जो नीचे वाले तबके, जो ये ठेकेदार वगैरह, इनकी ज़्यादा गलती नहीं होती। गलती उन लोगों की होती है जो कंप्लेंट देने के बावजूद भी कोई कार्रवाई नहीं करते। एसडीएम साहब है, डीएम साहब है, उनके ऊपर कार्रवाई होनी चाहिए। जो अधिकारी बैठे हैं, कान बंद करके बैठे हैं, उनके ऊपर कार्रवाई करो।
All right, shifting focus to another big story of the day. Story number 3. After the state of Kerala recorded India's first monkeypox case, the state today issued an alert to 5 districts, including Thiruvananthapuram and Kottayam, by the State Health Department. The alert was issued as people from these areas were co-passengers of the infected person. For more on this, I'm joined by Vivek on the broadcast. Vivek, a statewide alert has been issued in the wake of the first monkeypox case. What details can you share with us? What are the steps that the government is taking at the moment?
Yes, at this point of time, the government is taking all precautionary measures to ensure that people who are coming from abroad, especially from European countries, are being checked thoroughly at the airports, because and also from the UAE. Now, remember, this particular person who came to Thiruvananthapuram on the 12th of July had come with as a symptomatic. He was symptomatic, and that's the reason why he was being moved to a hospital. Right back then, he had met his parents and his family members. There were 11 primary contacts. Also, we understand that more people who are being associated with him will be checked because there were 11 primary contacts, including his parents and also the drivers who had taken him to the hospital at that point of time. Also, we understand that there was a lapse from the side of a private hospital at that point of time. He was initially taken to a private hospital, but they did not inform the health department. But the government is saying that as of now, even they have been identified. So all those people will be under observation. A central team, 11-member central team, is coming from Delhi, in the next 2 days, and that includes senior doctors from the All India Institute of Medical Sciences. They will be working in tandem with the state health department, in ensuring that all the precautions should be taken. Remember, monkeypox is a kind of virus which transmits from human to human. It's originating from wild animals. It transmits through fluids, but the casualty rate, the death rate is very, very less, but the transmission rate is very high as far as monkeypox is concerned. It's initially been found in European countries, and then it was found this time around in African countries, and now the first case has been reported from Kollam, in Kerala, and this is the first case that's reported from the country.
All right. Thank you, Vivek, for those updates. All right, story number 4. If children can go to school at 7 a.m. in the morning, why cannot judges and lawyers start their day at 9 a.m.? These are the important words of Supreme Court Judge UU Lalit, who's next in line to become the Chief Justice of India. In an unusual development, the SC judge commenced work at 9:30 a.m., which is an hour earlier than the usual working hour of the Supreme Court. As per Justice UU Lalit, if the schools can start early, why can't courts? And if courts start early, they can finish the day's work early, and judges would get more time in the evening to read the case files for the next day. Moving on, fact-checker Mohammad Zubair, bombarded with FIRs over the past few weeks, was granted bail in one more case today, but he will stay in jail in over 2 more cases. Mohammad Zubair was granted bail in the case filed by the Delhi police over a 2018 tweet for which he was arrested last month. During the hearing, the court observed that the alleged tweet was made in 2018, but till the date of registration of FIR, no other complaint was received that the tweet was accused of being offensive to the Hindu community. Now, the court observed that all recoveries made, interrogation complete, hence no purpose would be served keeping him in custody.
At Patiala House did state that the FIR is with regard to a tweet from 2018, but till date, the registration of FIR in 2020, there was no other complaint that was received in terms of it being offensive to the Hindu community or showing disrespect to Lord Hanuman. In fact, very importantly, what the court did note is that as far as the FCRA is concerned, the charges of FCRA, it is stated that prima facie due diligence was taken by as per Section 39. Now, this was something that the Delhi police had been pushing and stating that approximately 56 lakhs had been found in Alt News's bank accounts with respect to foreign donations. But Vrinda Grover, Zubair's lawyer, made sure that she drove home the point that as far as foreign donations were concerned, Alt News was not taking foreign donations whatsoever. This is something that the court seems to have upheld, saying that prima facie, it seems that due diligence was done.
All right, breaking inputs are coming in. A Kochi-bound Air Arabia flight that departed from Sharjah in UAE had a hydraulic failure while landing at Kochi airport this evening. Now, the aircraft fortunately has landed safely, and all 220 passengers and 7 crew members on board are safe. This is the latest as far as the Cochin International Airport authorities are concerned. A Kochi-bound Air Arabia flight G9426 departed from Sharjah in UAE and had a hydraulic failure while landing at Kochi airport this evening. And now that aircraft has landed safely. Vivek joins us for more. Vivek, after that scare, the fortunate news is that the aircraft has landed safely and all 222 passengers and 7 crew members on board are safe.
Yes, that's right. What we understand is that the flight has landed safely. Now, the information that's come out from CIAL, the Cochin International Airport Limited, is that an incident of hydraulic failure reported from the Air Arabia G9426 departed from Sharjah bound for Kochi. Now, the aircraft was about to land at 7:30 in the evening, but full emergency was declared at the Cochin airport at 6:41, and the aircraft landed safely at the runway 9 at 7:29. Now, only towing was required. Emergency will be withdrawn after the endurance period of 1 hour 15 minutes. Now, we understand that all the passengers are safe and no incident has been, of injuries was reported. The full emergency, which was there, was withdrawn exactly at 8:22. Now, this is exactly the information that was pouring in from the Cochin International Airport. Even S. Suhas, the MD of Cochin International Airport, has confirmed this. He said that a concerted effort and a timely coordination has helped the CR to see through the airport emergency situation. Though such a situation occurred after a very long period, it was proved that the safety systems worked effectively. We could resume the operation in 45 minutes.
All right. Thank you, Vivek, for these updates. All right, shifting focus to the national capital. This is top story number 5. In another case of assault, a minor girl was allegedly gang raped in a moving car in Delhi's Vasant Vihar area. The Delhi police have arrested 3 accused in connection with the case, 2 of whom are said to be minors. The accused have been arrested under the POXO Act, among other charges. The teenage girl has claimed that the accused assaulted her while driving the car around Delhi and Ghaziabad. The girl was on her way back from the market when she met the suspects, 2 of whom were neighbors of the complainant.
फिलहाल तीनों एक्यूज जो हैं वो पुलिस गिरफ्त में हैं और पुलिस पूरे मामले की जांच कर रही है। लेकिन जिस तरीके से आरोप जो लगाया गया है खासतौर पे पीड़ित छात्रा का, उसका साफ तौर पे ये कहना था कि वो अपनी एक फ्रेंड्स के यहाँ गई थी। वहां से जब वो लौट रही थी तब ये दोनों लड़के जो हैं उसे बसंत विहार के मार्केट में ले गए और उसके बाद इन्होंने वहां अपने एक और साथी को बुला लिया जो कि वैगनार कार से आया। उसके बाद ये दिल्ली की सड़कों पर पीड़िता साथ बदसलूकी करते रहे, उसके साथ अश्लील हरकतें करते रहे और गाजियाबाद तक ये अपनी गाड़ी गया और उसके बाद दोबारा ये दिल्ली में है और उसके बाद लड़की को जो छात्रा है उसे उसके घर पर ड्रॉप करके वहां से फरार हो जाते हैं। इस बाबत जैसे ही पुलिस को सूचना मिलती है 7 को इस बाबत जो है सफदरजंग अस्पताल से सूचना मिलती है, जिसके बाद पुलिस जो है वो हरकत में आती है और पूरे मामले में पॉस्को और तमाम संगीन धाराओं के तहत मामला दर्ज किया जाता है और आरोपी है उन्हें गिरफ्तार कर लिया जाता है। फिलहाल पुलिस का यही कहना है कि मामले की तफ्तीश की जा रही है, लेकिन इन तीनों में से जो 2 लड़के थे वो छात्रा ये कहना है कि उसी इलाके में रहते थे जहां पर ये छात्रा रहती थी।
Story number 6. The Maharashtra governor, B.S. Koshyari, has suggested the name of the newly constructed foreign students' dorm on the University of Mumbai's Kalina campus after the freedom fighter Vinayak Damodar Savarkar. Meanwhile, at least 2 student organizations have objected to the dorm being named after the freedom fighter, rather suggested the name of Chhatrapati Shahu Maharaj, who had been a support system from diverse and backward castes. The National Students' Union of India, in a letter to the governor, objects his demand, says the freedom fighter Savarkar was communal and wrote mercy petitions to the British with no participation in the freedom struggle.
At present, I'm reporting from outside the Mumbai University. Basically, there is a new hostel being made, an international level hostel being made inside the Mumbai University. The hostel has been under the spotlight, under some controversy, considering the fact that the Maharashtra governor, Bhagat Singh Koshyari, has demanded that this hostel inside Mumbai University's Kalina campus be named after Swatantra Veer Savarkar. However, there has been a staunch opposition from from the student council leaders as well. NSUI basically taking the forefront, saying that it should not be named after Swatantra Veer Savarkar.
देखिए, सबसे पहले बात तो सभी को मालूम है कि गवर्नर जी जो है वो आरएसएस के बिलोंग करते हैं, एक चड्डी गैंग से बिलोंग करते हैं। हमारा ये एक ही डिमांड है कि जिन सावरकर जी, जो वीर सावरकर नहीं, माफ़ी वीर सावरकर बोला जाता है, क्योंकि इन्होंने हमेशा माफ़ी मांगने का ही काम किया है और अंग्रेज़ों की दलाली की है। तो ऐसे लोगों का नाम इस मुंबई यूनिवर्सिटी के हॉस्टल में नहीं होना चाहिए। हमारा डिमांड ये है कि छत्रपति शाहू महाराज जी के नाम पे यहाँ पे जो है हॉस्टल का नाम रहना चाहिए।
Moving on to the next top story of the day, story number 7. The Jaya legacy war has turned uglier as the fight between E. Palaniswamy and O. Paneerselvam has intensified. In the latest, O. Paneerselvam, also known as OPS, has sacked 66 people from the primary membership of the AIDMK for acting against party's policies and principles, whereas EPS, E. Palaniswamy, has sacked 39 people from the primary membership so far. On Thursday, 22 people were sacked by OPS, including the newly elected AIDMK General Secretary E. Palaniswamy. It is very confusing to keep a track of all this, but this has happened in the main opposition party of Tamil Nadu. Now, interesting to note that OPS himself stands expelled. Both leaders, EPS and OPS, have sacked each other from the party. Meanwhile, more drama will continue to unfold in the state as the High Court is hearing both factions' plea to unseal the AIDMK headquarters. Remember, the party headquarters was closed as violence broke out after the General Council meet. All right, for more on this, I'm joined by Dharni on this interesting story that's coming in from Tamil Nadu. Dharani, thank you for joining us. This is not the first time when we've seen AIDMK, the clash and tussle in AIDMK for power. It started way back when J. Jayalalitha and MGR's wife were also embroiled in a similar conflict, and then it's boiled over and it continues in 2022. I have lost track of who is sacking whom, how many people have been sacked, how is this AIDMK functioning. For the benefit of our national audiences, could you please explain what is going on in the AIDMK at the moment?
Yes. The sackings and counter-sackings are continuing. So remember, on July 11, during the General Council meeting, Edappadi Palaniswamy was chosen as the interim General Secretary of AIDMK. So following that, yesterday for the first time, he announced that, he'll be, removing 18 people from the primary membership of the party, including two sons of OPS, that's OP Ravindranath and Jaya. So following, subsequently, OPS also told that he'll be removing, 22 people from the party. So this started yesterday, and till now totally 39 people have been removed from the party by Edappadi Palaniswamy, and 66 people have been removed from the party by O. Paneerselvam. So both of these leaders, Edappadi Palaniswamy and O. Paneerselvam, they have been putting out removal statements using AIDMK's letterhead. But the bigger question here is whether these removals by both these factions are valid or not, because right now, when we talk on papers, Edappadi Palaniswamy is the interim General Secretary, and OPS is like kind of expelled from the party. So Edappadi Palaniswamy's removal statements, they might hold validity, at least some 75 to 80% validity at this point in time, as the case is still pending with the Election Commission of India as a disputed matter. But when we talk about OPS, as you rightly pointed out, OPS itself is an expelled leader from the party, and the bigger question here is whether his statements removing party functionaries would be valid or not. So that's the bigger question. And when you talk to political analysts and experts, they're telling that OPS is not having the power to remove anybody, and his announcements do not hold any validity. So that's what we're hearing from political analysts and experts. But nevertheless, the tussle is still on, and both the leaders, they want to showcase their power. They want to show the world that they have some sort of power in their hands over AIDM. So this particular sackings and sackings, they can be considered as showcase of power by both the leaders. But at the end of the day, it's the Election Commission of India that's going to decide who is having the ownership of the party. So right now the matter is with the ECI as a disputed matter, and in fact the EPS camp, they've submitted all the resolutions that were passed during the General Council to the Election Commission of India. So soon the EC will be looking into the matter, and they'll be, officially handing over the party to, either of them, either OPS or EPS. But political experts and analysts, they're again telling that there is high chances that the EPI might, that the ECI might approve Edapadi Palaniswamy's appointment as interim General Secretary, and that he might, finally become the official single leader of the party.
All right, Dharni, I want to understand one more thing from you, is that in politics, whenever you see your main rival disintegrate, or when you see a party disintegrate like this, there is nothing better than that. So I'm talking about the DMK. How is the ruling party viewing all these developments? Absolute collapse of AIDMK, the two factions fighting with each other. What is going on in the ruling party camp vis-a-vis this political crisis?
When you look at the speeches that are being made by Edapadi Palaniswamy, he is constantly, attacking the DMK government. The DMK government has joined hands with O. Pannirselvam, and that they are trying to bring AIDMK down. So this particular complaint, he has been making this particular complaint, attacking the DMK government for the past, 2 weeks, whenever he gets a stage. But in response, DMK they're not, officially responding anything in relation to this matter. In fact, they are refraining themselves from commenting on this tussle that's going on, in AIDMK. So their, comment is that they cannot involve in another political party's internal matters. That's what they are telling. But they're also rubbishing the claims that the DMK has any role to play in it, because since Edapadi Palaniswamy is constantly accusing the DMK government of joining hands with OPS and trying to bring their party down, the DMK government has counter to that accusation. They are telling that they have no role to play in it, and that they are just spectators who are just watching what's happening in the AIDMK and the development. So they're just trying to be as away as possible at this point in time.
All right, thank you, Dharani, for those updates. All right, moving on to the story number 8. Heavy rains continue to lash several parts of Gujarat. Heavy rain alert has been issued for the next 24 hours. The alert is for 8 districts: Junagarh, Gir Somnath, Bhavnagar, Surat, Tapi, Dang, Valsad and Navsari. Fishermen have been advised to not head to the sea. Now, water level in Purna River has increased due to water flowing from 2 dams. Navsari is the worst affected district, with over 18,000 lives affected. The rain fury in Gujarat has so far claimed 43 lives. All right, so this is the latest that we are getting for you as far as the rain situation in Gujarat is concerned. The visuals are on your screens. A heavy alert, rain alert has been sounded for the next 24 hours. For more on this, I'm joined by Amit Rajput on the broadcast. Amit, शुक्रिया हमारे साथ जुड़ने के लिए। आगे के जो 24 घंटे हैं वो बहुत अहम है गुजरात के लिए, और माना जा रहा है कि जो नवसारी है वो अभी भी सबसे ज़्यादा ग्रस्त है बाढ़ से। सबसे ज़्यादा नुकसान वहीं हुआ है अभी तक। क्या ज़्यादा जानकारी दे सकते हैं आप? अभी क्या हालात है गुजरात में?
देखिए, मौसम विभाग का ये कहना है गुजरात के कि अभी 24 घंटे जो हैं वो खतरा गुजरात पे से टला नहीं है, और ये खतरा जो बताया गया है ये दक्षिण गुजरात और सौराष्ट्र के लिए फिर से अलर्ट दिया हुआ है। तो और लगातार गुजरात के अंदर बारिश, ये जो सौराष्ट्र की मैं बात करूं या दक्षिण गुजरात की बात करूं या अहमदाबाद की बात करूं, तो ये जगहों पे अभी बारिश हो रही है, लगातार बारिश जारी है। और विशेष तौर से नवसारी के अंदर जिस तरह के विजुअल सामने आए हैं, जिस तरह से वहां पे हमने ड्रोन कैमरे से जो मिरर नाउ के दर्शकों को दिखा रहे हैं कि हालात जो हैं वो बहुत ज्यादा वहां पे खराब हैं। हालांकि प्रशासन जो है वो मुस्तैद है। प्रशासन लगातार जो सूरत के कुछ इलाकों में से जहां से पानी उतर गया है, सूरत और तापी के, वहां से वो लोग लगातार अपना जो रिस्टोरेशन का काम जो है उनके द्वारा किया गया है। लेकिन बारिश जो है वो रुकने का नाम नहीं ले रही है। कुछ देर बंद हो जाती है और फिर वापस से बारिश जो है वो शुरू हो जाती है, और इसी वजह से जो परिस्थिति है वो बिगड़ती है। लेकिन राहत की बात यह है कि हाईवे जो था अहमदाबाद मुंबई का, वो कल रात को उधर पानी उतर गया था और आज सवेरे से फिर से ट्रांसपोर्टेशन जो है वो शुरू हो गया है। लेकिन जो ट्रांसपोर्टेशन रुक गया था, लंबी लंबी कतारें अहमदाबाद मुंबई हाईवे पे देखने को मिली थी। तो ये सारी चीजें जो हैं वो बहुत असर कर रही हैं, जिससे जनजीवन जो है वो एक तरह से थम सा गया है। और यही वजह है कि प्रशासन लगातार लगा हुआ है मुख्यमंत्री भूपेंद्र पटेल जो है वो लगातार जो स्टेट इमरजेंसी सेंटर की बात हो वहां पे लगातार वो मॉनिटरिंग कर रहे हैं, लगातार वहां पे मीटिंगें चलती हैं, मौसम विभाग के अधिकारी हैं, गुजरात के चीफ सेक्रेटरी पंकज कुमार वहां पर मौजूद होते हैं, तो सारी चीजें हैं वो चल रही हैं। लेकिन बारिश की वजह से जो निचले इलाके हैं, जो नदी से सटे हुए जो इलाके हैं, जहाँ पे लोग रहते हैं, वहां पे पानी भर जाता है और उसी वजह से दिक्कतें जो है वो हो जाती हैं। फिलहाल अभी राहत की बात यह है कि उतनी ज्यादा बारिश नहीं हो रही है, बारिश हो रही है लेकिन बहुत ज्यादा मात्रा में जिस तरह से देखा जाता था कि एक साथ 10 इंच, 15 इंच, 18 इंच बारिश हो जाती थी। आज की हम बात करें तो आज 7 से 8 इंच ही बारिश इन जो रेड अलर्ट जोन है वहां पे हुई है, तो ज्यादा दिक्कतें नहीं है। लेकिन परेशानी ये है कि राहत बचाव कार्य जो है उसमें खलल आता है और इसी वजह से आज एनडीआरएफ की 5 टीमें जो हैं वो सूरत में भेजी गई हैं और वो पांचों टीम दक्षिण गुजरात के अंदर जो रेस्क्यू का काम है, जनजीवन को शुरू करने का काम है, जब पानी उतरेगा तो वो काम वो करेंगी। और हालात अभी भी जस के तस हैं, थोड़ा सा बदलाव आया है, प्रशासन काम कर रहा है, लेकिन जब तक बारिश रुकेगी नहीं, जब तक पानी उतरेगा नहीं, तब तक इस तरह की दिक्कतें गुजरात के अंदर, चाहे दक्षिण गुजरात की बात करूं या सौराष्ट्र की बात करूं, वहां इस तरह के हालात देखने को मिलेंगे। जी
जी अमित, एक बात आपसे जानना चाहूँगी क्योंकि आप गुजरात इतना नज़दीकी से कवर करते हैं और खुद भी आप अहमदाबाद में हैं, क्योंकि क्लाइमेट चेंज की हमेशा बात होती रही है, तो क्या हर साल यही हाल होता है जब मॉनसून होता है गुजरात में, या इतने सालों में कोई बदलाव देखा गया है पैटर्न में या नुकसान में जिस तरीके से बारिश हो रही है इस साल?
नहीं, देखिए गुजरात के अंदर ये पैटर्न जो है रेन का और जिस तरह से जल जमाव का, वो हर साल देखने को नहीं मिलता है। बारिश इस बार बहुत ज्यादा गुजरात में हो रही है। अभी तो जुलाई ही चल रहा है। हर बार ये होता था कि 2-3 साल के गैप में कभी वडोदरा की तरफ ज्यादा बारिश हो जाती थी, कभी उत्तर गुजरात में बनासकांठा, साबरकांठा में हो जाती थी। लेकिन इस बार कच्छ में जिस तरह से बारिश हुई, कच्छ के अंदर भी बहुत बारिश देखी गई। उसके अलावा सौराष्ट्र के अंदर भी बारिश देखी गई, दक्षिण गुजरात में बारिश देखी गई। तो एक साथ जो ये ईस्ट गुजरात और साउथ गुजरात जो है, वहां पे जो एक साथ बारिश हो रही है, उस वजह से ये दिक्कतें हो रही हैं। पैटर्न बारिश ने अपना बदला है, लेकिन यहाँ पे जो प्रशासन है वो काम कर रहा है। लेकिन हालांकि ये परिस्थिति जो है उसमें फिर भी जिस तरह से पानी को उतरने की बात हो, शहरों की बात करूं तो शहरों में भी पानी भर गया था, अहमदाबाद हो, वडोदरा हो, सूरत हो, राजकोट हो, लेकिन प्रशासन ने काम किया और जल्द से जल्द उन पानी को निकालने की व्यवस्था की गई। तो वो चीजें हो रही हैं, लेकिन ये जो बारिश ने इस बार अपना पैटर्न बदला है, एक साथ जो बारिश हो रही है ईस्ट और साउथ गुजरात के अंदर, उस वजह से ये प्रॉब्लम क्रिएट हुआ है। और मॉनसून विभाग का ये कहना है कि जो अरब सागर के अंदर जो लो प्रेशर क्रिएट हुआ है, उस वजह से इस तरह की सिचुएशन जो है वो गुजरात के अंदर विशेष तौर से देखने को मिल रही है और उसका असर जो है वो महाराष्ट्र के अंदर भी देखा जा रहा है। जी
जी, बहुत बहुत शुक्रिया अहम जानकारी देने के लिए और खासकर ये बताने के लिए कि इस बार जो है वो बारिश गुजरात में हर साल के मुकाबले ज़्यादा है, और लेकिन प्रशासन लगातार काम कर रहा है। लेकिन जो हम क्लाइमेट चेंज की बात करते हैं, अक्सर जो पैटर्न दुनिया भर में देखा गया है वो यही है। हालांकि ये वैज्ञानिक और एक्सपर्ट ज़्यादा बेहतर बता पाएंगे, बट अमित जी बहुत बहुत शुक्रिया जानकारी देने के लिए। All right, moving on. The weather department has sounded heavy rains alert in Karnataka for the next 48 hours. Orange alert has been sounded in coastal districts till July 18th. Moving on to the next story of the day. The fall of the Indian currency against the US dollar is far from over. Rupee closed at 79.91 against the US dollar. The Indian currency is teetering near the 80 mark as global sentiments of a potential recession in the United States gain momentum. Meanwhile, the war in Europe and rising inflation also continue to hurt the Indian currency.
Essentially, when we are saying that the rupee has fallen and it's almost nearing 80 rupees mark, what does it mean? It means that you're paying more rupees for $1 US. So earlier, if you were paying 70 rupees to get $1 US, now you're paying close to 80 rupees to get $1 US. So what does this mean when it comes to you and me, and when it comes to the purchases that we make? So essentially, for example, somebody wants to study abroad, then yes, you're going to end up paying more for that. Your study abroad will get more expensive. Similarly, if you want to travel abroad as well, again, it will get more expensive because you're going to end up paying more rupees to get those dollars that you need to travel abroad, to study abroad. So that will become more expensive. The second aspect, when we are buying things, if we are buying an imported car or if we are buying items which have imported parts in them, all of that will become more expensive because the same logic, the same rationale there applies. You need more rupees for the same amount of dollars for any of these products. So that is where inflation comes in. Inflationary products which are imported, all of that will get more expensive. So that is how the direct impact on all of us. But looking at the larger picture here, we know, of course, even the government imports a lot of items. Crude is one of the most important things, where India imports about 80% of our crude requirements. So obviously that is one big aspect. There is a lot of inflationary pressure that comes in on that front, and because of the weakening rupee as well. So now if we look at when this entire downfall began, why we are close to 80 right now, it began when Russia's invasion of Ukraine. That is when it happened, and since then the rupee has hit new lows about 27 times. The war led to a spike in commodity prices that is directly impacting us as well. Other factors also high inflation in the US that led to the US Federal Reserve hiking their rates. So what happens then is that the dollar becomes stronger. Now, once the dollar becomes stronger, obviously the rupee also has a direct impact. It begins weakening, and also fund flows, foreign flows, investors from India take money out here and would rather put their money in the US where the dollar is stronger. So that has been the other ripple effect and the other cause of all of this that we've been seeing. So at this point in time, Reserve Bank of India has stepped in and is trying to, do what can to stem the losses, but that's not really having as much of an effect as one would have hoped for. For example, the RBI is trying to make the rupee more acceptable for trade by letting settlements happen in the Indian currency instead of the US dollar. So essentially, it simply means cut down the use of the US dollar. But while this is a good move, and experts say that this will have an impact in the long run, not really in the short term. So at this point in time, we're almost there as far as the 80 mark is concerned. The question is when it's going to get there rather than if. We almost got there today, but not quite yet. But experts say it is going to happen anytime now.
Moving on, a centre special booster dose drive has begun at government centres over the next 75 days from today. Adults between the age group of 18 to 59 can get free jabs. Now, the aim is to improve the third dose coverage. The drive is being held as part of the government's Azadi Ka Amrit Mahotsav celebrations to mark the 75th anniversary of India's independence. So far, less than 1% of the target population of 77 crore in the 18 to 59 age group have been administered the precaution dose. Now, meanwhile, Cabinet Secretary is going to chair a meeting with Chief Secretaries of states and union territories.
देश के सभी 18 से अधिक उम्र के नागरिकों को मेरा आग्रह है कि आज़ादी के अमृत महोत्सव के अवसर पर 75 दिन तक चल रहा इस अभियान में आप भी मुफ्त टीका लगाइए और कोविड के सामने आप अपनी सुरक्षा सुनिश्चित करिए.
Right, a massive drug seizure from Navsari port in Mumbai, where 73 kgs of heroin was seized. Now, drugs busted in a joint operation by the Punjab and Maharashtra police. The seizure comes just days after 75 kgs of heroin was seized from the Mundra port in Gujarat.
ड्रग्स के खिलाफ अपनी मुहिम जारी रखते हुए आज पंजाब पुलिस ने एक होर वड्डी सफलता प्राप्त की है. In a joint operation with Maharashtra police, 73 kgs of heroin has been recovered in Navsari port with the full cooperation of central agencies and Maharashtra police. 73 kg heroin की रिकवरी हुई है. ऑपरेशन आगे कंटिन्यू कर रहा है. The war against drugs would continue.
The Buddhist spiritual leader, the Dalai Lama, arrived in Leh for a month-long stay. The security in Ladakh has been heightened amid Dalai Lama's visit. Meanwhile, the streets and main market squares in Leh have been decked up with posters and confetti to mark the arrival of the spiritual leader. Remember, the Dalai Lama's visit to Ladakh comes after a lull of almost 3 years owing to COVID. Moving on, as crisis still looms large, let's get the latest from Sri Lanka. The island nation's top court has issued an order preventing former Prime Minister Mahinda Rajapakse and former Finance Minister Basil Rajapakse from travelling overseas. Now, on the other hand, the acting President Ranil Wickremesinghe has passed two key decisions. Now, the leader has abolished the word His Excellency, which is used to introduce the president officially, and he's also abolished the presidential flag. After Gotabaya's resignation on Thursday, Prime Minister Ranil Wickremesinghe was sworn in as the interim president of the island nation. The Sri Lankan parliament will convene tomorrow, wherein the proceeding to elect the new government will begin. The Speaker has urged the public to allow peaceful environment for all MPs to take part in the process, which should finish within 7 days. Meanwhile, former Lankan President, who's now in Singapore, will undergo medical tests, and he's also made several flight bookings like to Dubai, Jeddah and Riyadh. However, this can be in the ambit of speculation as well. Meanwhile, Indian Defence Minister Rajnath Singh has said that India stands by all its neighbours and that he will continue to help Sri Lanka.
भारत अपने सभी पड़ोसी देशों से मैत्री का संबंध चाहता है। इसके लिए भारत लगातार प्रयास करता रहा है। श्रीलंका हो, नेपाल हो, भूटान हो, म्यांमार हो, मालदीव हो या फिर बांग्लादेश, हमने सभी के साथ मधुर और मजबूत संबंध बरकरार रखे हैं। श्रीलंका आज जिन कठिन परिस्थितियों से गुजर रहा है, आप सभी अच्छी तरह वाकिफ हैं। हालांकि कोविड और यूक्रेनियन कॉन्फ्लिक्ट के चलते भारत भी प्रभावित हुआ है, उसके बावजूद हम अपने मित्र श्रीलंका की यथासंभव मदद करने की कोशिश कर रहे हैं।
Moving on, from what we know, China employed its devious debt trap diplomacy to gain a strategic control over Sri Lanka and indeed became successful. Sri Lanka is indebted to heavy loans and investments from China and has defaulted on the repayment. But the bigger point is, after putting Lanka into crisis, China has come back to its rescue. Now, China has vowed $73.9 million emergency humanitarian aid. Now, Chinese officials say that China will assist Sri Lanka to the best of its ability as another batch of emergency humanitarian grain aid was handed over yesterday. Now, important to note that the operation of major transport projects such as the Hambantota port are critical to Lanka's economic revival. However, China's financing of the port has always been a controversial topic. Sri Lanka has leased the Hambantota port to China for 99 years. Now, after Lankan President Gotabaya Rajapakse fled his official residence in Colombo, angry protesters broke through police barricades to trespass the compound. Now that the protesters have vacated the official building and the army has taken over, Times Network's Priyank caught us this exclusive report from Colombo, where the forensic teams are conducting investigation at the president's house. Take a look.
This is one of the rooms of the first person of Sri Lanka's, Sri Lanka's democracy, and this is the thing which is going on. Now, after forensic examination, there will be huge arrests, which is also likely to be made because the electronic evidence has already been recorded. The President used to have a video conferencing from here, but in the meanwhile, for the viewers of Times Now, we are showing you the exclusive visual of the forensic team here inside the President's house carrying out the investigation.
All right, story number 10. Britain's weather forecaster has issued a first ever red extreme heat warning for parts of England on Monday and Tuesday, when temperatures are expected to reach record highs. The forecasters have said that the temperature could reach 40 degrees Celsius for the first time, topping the UK's highest ever record temperature of 38.7 degrees set at Cambridge University Garden on July 2019. Now, the weather department has also warned of population-wide adverse health effects which could lead to serious illness or even danger to life in the UK.